Hello, everybody. How are you all? Namaste. Welcome back to my channel. As I had told you yesterday and promised to give you a video today on oral skills and language function, we are going to discuss the very first chapter of the second paper, English, for TSC exam. So, the very first chapter is, as I just said, teaching and testing oral skills and language function. Okay, before we start teaching students about oral skills and language functions, we should first tell them what skills are in English language or any language we are teaching. So, what are the four skills necessary? What are the four skills in English? Those are the four skills. Okay, let's see. The first one, listening skill. We have four. You already know all of those four. Speaking, reading, and then writing. These are the four skills in English. So, which are the oral skills and which are not the oral skills, I shall tell you now. Okay, how are they categorized? There are two ways of categorizing these four skills. Listening skill is also known as a receptive skill. I'll tell you what this means. Receptive skill. And out of the other three, reading also is a receptive skill. It is a receptive skill. Okay. And then speaking and writing are productive skills. They are productive skills. So why are they called or categorized as receptive and productive? I shall tell you now. In listening, what do? We listen to the listening material, we listen to the content, we receive the language, we receive the information, we receive the ideas. As we are receiving everything, it is called a receptive skill. How well we receive is determined by our listening skill. If we do not receive well, our listening skill is not so good, or it's said to be bad, okay, not competent. Another is reading. Even in reading, what do? In reading, we read the content, we read the material, we read the articles, books, poems, and everything, and we receive, we try to understand, we grab the information. That is why reading also is a receptive skill. While the other two, speaking and writing, differ greatly as they are productive skills. In productive skill, what do? We produce the language from within, from whatever words we have known so far. So if you want to speak, if you want to explain, if you want to do anything, you have to first make a sentence yourself, think about the content, and then produce the language. That is why it is called a productive skill. In writing also, whenever we read anything, we come to know about the words, we come to know about the informations, we come to know about phrases and all. And then on the basis of all those informations, we write a sentence. We express our ideas through words, in the form of language. So we produce the language in writing as well. This is why they are called receptive and productive skills. This is the reason. And there's another way of categorizing these two, these four. Let's say these two, these four. Okay. So what's the other way of categorizing these four? The other way is that, as you can see on the topic itself, there are two words written: oral skills. So which of these four are oral skills? The first, listening and speaking, as they are used, as they are the ones helping us communicate, helping us share ideas. They are called oral skills of language. listening and speaking. First, what happens is we listen. Whenever a baby is born, the baby is born and the baby starts listening, acquiring information from the surrounding, learns from his mother, learns from his father, and he listens to a lot of things. And he finally learns to understand them and to speak as well. So they are oral skills. Oral skills are very important. They are the primary skills. And the other two are secondary skills. Secondary, the first two are primary. This is how they are categorized. They are called oral skills, and reading and writing are called secondary skills. It is because reading and writing are not involved in communication, in direct communication, but to learn. But to learn and anything, express anything, these two other skills are used. So they are called secondary. But the irony is that in the context of Nepal, speaking and listening are less prioritized, unlike in the global context. In the modern standardized testing systems like IELTS, PT, and Duolingo, which are internationally and worldwide recognized, they equally prioritize all of the four skills. But in the context of Nepal, in the schools, we are teaching reading and writing more than the first two. So these two skills are more underrated, yet people want to be fluent in English, people want to learn everything perfectly, and then they want to be a fluent, a prolific speaker, which is not possible just by practicing reading and writing. So the first two, listening and speaking, are underrated, and they are less prioritized. They are in a way ignored by the curriculum itself, because listening and speaking only account for 25% of the total weightage. Even within that, listening carries only maybe 10 marks and speaking 15. I'm not sure though regarding the splitting of the marks yet, but it's not more than that one. So in total, it accounts just for 25%, while reading accounts for 40% and writing accounts for 24%, excluding the grammar. If the grammar is included, then 11% is added, and that becomes 36. Okay. So this is how the skills are categorized. Oral skills are primary skills. They are listening and speaking. There was one linguist called Duff. In 1995, he categorized listening into two types. One as casual and another as focused. According to him, there are two types of listening. One is casual listening and another is focused listening. And again, years later, Harmer, another linguist, that is in 2008, he also categorized listening in two ways: intensive and extensive. This is how listening is categorized. So what are these? Now these two are similar. Intensive and focus are similar. Focused are similar, and these two are similar. Whenever we listen to anything, we listen in two ways. It differs on the basis of the purpose of our listening. Like if we intend to grab a particular information, we have to listen seriously to whoever is speaking, whatever is being played, or whatever we are paying attention to. If we are paying attention seriously, and if we want to know something in specific, that is known as intensive listening, which is also known as focused listening. We focus 100% into what is being spoken. Okay, so that is also called intensive listening. Intensively we are listening to something, like a tape is a recorded tape, or a video is being played, and we are either watching or listening to that one to grab the information, to take specific informations, is intensive. So this happens in of informal setting, normally inside the classroom in the presence of a teacher, while the other one, the casual listening, or which is also known as extensive listening, is done for pleasure, is done for fun. It's done without intending to solve anything or grab any information. Like you're busy at your work, but you're playing the music. You're listening to the radio, you're listening to the news, you're listening to somebody singing outside there. So that is all extensive or casual listening, because you do not have a serious purpose, you do not have a purpose to get all the informations. So extensive listening or casual listening is easy listening, let's say. Okay, while intensive and focused listening can be difficult, because depending upon the type of situation, it can be repeated or it may not be repeated. Like sometimes if you miss the information, it is gone forever. If that is not played again, you won't get that information in any other way. So paying proper attention is very necessary when you're doing focused listening or intensive listening. So when the teacher is saying something, when the teacher is saying something, you listen to the teacher in an intensive way. Okay, otherwise you'll miss the informations. Otherwise the attention will be diverted. This happens in free environment, this happens in controlled environment, inside the classroom, in formal settings. So depending upon the situation, like I just said, in real life situation, the listening will be slightly different than in classroom situations, than while you're learning. In real life situations, real life listening, I just missed the word. In real life listening, what is going to be different? The way we pronounce the word is going to be different, and the type of vocabulary we use while speaking is different, because we use colloquial language. That language, that form of word or language which is used in informal communications are used, that is called colloquial words, colloquial vocabs are used. While in formal settings, formal words are to be used, they are to be properly pronounced. And then we repeat sometimes we do not repeat, depending upon the speakers and listeners attention. And in real life situation, even if the sentences are complete, even if you just speak a phrase or a clause, the listener understands. It is because you are speaking in person, you are seeing each other. By your body language also you can figure out what the other person is telling. So real life listening can be a bit different uh, from the classroom listenings. Okay, so inside the classroom you'll have activities to do, a lot of activities. You have to solve the questions, you have to grab the informations. So that is why it can differ in great many ways. Real life listening can be different. All right, now we'll talk about the sub skills of listening. What is a sub skill? You'll have sub skills in listening, speaking, reading, writing, and everything. It is a skill that you will need to comprehend to comprehend any material, anything. Okay, when you listen to anything, you're listening to the listening material, but in order to understand that fully, in order to figure out what you're listening in a proper way, you should have a lot of sub skills. Those skills are known as sub skills. Okay, sub skill is any skill that is necessary to comprehend the speaking, reading, or a writing material. So what are those sub skills of listening? Sub skills of listening, this is one of the important topics. That is why you have to pay attention. Everything has to be in your head. Like whenever somebody is speaking, we can discriminate the sound in connected speech, isn't it? We can figure out the attitude of a person, the attitudinal meaning. We can figure out the difference in the stress level. We can figure out the differences in intonation. Okay, so what are some of the sub skills? I shall tell you. Understanding the difference. Understanding the difference between text and utterance in any spoken text or spoken language is very necessary. We have to understand the relationship and differences between the text and utterance. understanding the relationship between these two. Now, and then we have to understand the relationship between the syntactic characteristic and morphological characteristic of any spoken language. So what are these two? Syntactic characteristic means that characteristic which determines or which governs how words are combined to form phrases, how words are combined to form sentences and clauses. That is what is called syntactic characteristic of spoken language. Another is morphological character. So this is related to the word, like how words are changed while communicating with others. In listening, how do we change our words? How do we pronounce them? How can they be replaced? These things are related to morphological characteristics. Understanding the relationship between text and utterance, understanding the relationship between the syntactic and morphological characteristics. There are different parts of the text, so understanding the relationship between parts of text through discourse markers. Through discourse markers is another soft skill. You have to at least know 7 to 8 soft skills to different. You should understand the relationship between the parts of text through discourse marker, and you should understand the conceptual meaning of whatever is spoken. You should understand the attitudinal meaning. Just by the tone of the speaker, we can figure out what is his mood. We can figure out with what intention that person is sharing that idea. Attitudinal meaning. We should understand the attitudinal meaning of spoken text. And another can be, we should be able to understand the explicitly stated ideas and informations. Explicitly explicitly stated ideas and informations. This is another sub skill of listening, to be able to understand explicitly stated ideas and informations, and also those ideas and informations which are not explicitly expressed or clearly expressed or fully expressed. We should be able to figure that out as well. That is also another important sub skill. Now, uh, altitudinal meaning, explicitly uh, stated parts of ideas and information. And while listening, we should also know, we should also be able to differentiate between what are the main ideas and which are the supporting details. Identifying main ideas and supporting details. Which are the main ideas and which are just there to support the detail. Okay. And we have some more important soft skills left to be stated and mentioned here. Okay. And note making. Whenever we listen to any content, note making is a very essential sub skill. Note making from the spoken language, from the spoken text, because that information might be necessary later. Note making. Another is transferring informations, transferring, and even sometimes transforming. Sometimes you are just supposed to transfer the information that has just been played, while in some cases you have to transform, change, transform, or transforming the information in speech to diagrammatic display in the form of a diagram, in a diagrammatic display. Okay, note making. So all of these, I think I have already stated 5, 7, or maybe 8 sub skills of listening. They are all equally important. Listening, even if it is underrated, it is not an easy skill. It is very important skill. It is equally important as other 3 skills. So we need all of these sub skills in order to comprehend any listening material. Listening can be difficult due to various factors, like when you listen to the native speaker, when you listen to his accent, just because of the tone and the accent, you might not understand what is being said. So we do not have enough exposure to the native speakers, to the English speaking environment. So that can be one reason. Another is the speed of the audio also becomes a factor. And sometimes, even if we do not understand the of context being discussed through the material, we do not understand. So there are various factors. Sometimes we have hearing disability, partial hearing disability as well, so that goes away. Sometimes, we struggle to pay attention to what is being played, pay attention to the subject matter. We just fail. So just because of that, also listening can be difficult. There are a number of different factors affecting listening. It is not so easy. So when we intend to listen intensively or in a focused way, we have to apply all of these sub skills actively. Even if all of these sub skills are being unconsciously or subconsciously realized and being used, we should, as far as possible, use them consciously. These are the sub skills of listening. And when we talk about how is listening taught, let me share a few things about how listening is taught. How do we teach listening? Should we even teach people how to listen? Sometimes it is satirical. Does anybody have to teach us how to listen? We listen, we simply listen. If we pay attention, we listen. We hear things. Isn't it? So we might think, that question might click in our mind. But of course, yes, there are techniques of teaching listening. Listening can be taught like other skills as well. So there are different stages of teaching listening. So whenever we go to the class and intend to teach listening to the students, what do we have to do in the beginning? We have to involve them in some pre-reading activities, in some pre-listening activities. So there are some pre-listening activities. It is nothing but initially there are a few activities we do to prepare the students to listen efficiently. Like we design some activities, we tell them about the context beforehand, we tell them about the vocabularies that are going to come in the listening material. We make them aware of everything. We give them the background information in pre-listening activity. This is the first stage. We have to make them mentally ready, and we have to tell them in detail what kind of questions are going to be solved and what sort of information they should be collecting, they should be grabbing from it. So pre-listening activities will, how well we do the pre-listening activities will also determine how effectively we listen, because students simply divert their attention. They do not pay undivided attention to the teacher. So it is very necessary for them, for us both, to be ready for the listening content. Okay, so those are the listening activities. And while listening, what do we do? This is when we play the listening material, we read out something, whatever is the activity, we tell them to be attentive and listen to what is being played and be very serious regarding what is being played and the subject matter. And then we tell them to, jot down things. We tell them to do the activities like fill in the blanks, true false, multiple choice. And then we even tell them to make a diagram out of the given description, like turning or transforming was also one of the important sort of skill of listening, isn't it? So what during the listen, this is the actual listening stage, so there will be activities parallelly. And the third one is post listening activity. After listening, what do we do? After listening, it is the time to reflect. It is the time to analyze. It is the time to discuss. And we tell them to share a similar kind of story. We tell them to share similar kind of content if they have any, and then we tell them to retell the same thing, whatever they have understood. We tell them to discuss. We tell them to interpret the same thing in different way, and then we tell them to design the activity in the same way and then present in the class so that it will be an activity for others as well. So this is the final stage of teaching listening, which is also known as post listening stage. So this much for today. Thank you. We shall be discussing on the